Buenas, and welcome back to the Gaming Stripes channel. Jarek here with a comparison video on Final Fantasy XIV. As a thank you to all those players who stood by the game during the bad times and supported the developers, we were given an offer many of us were happy to take. If you paid for 3 months worth of a sub in a row in Final Fantasy XIV 1.0, we were given the legacy player status. At first, we mostly thought it was just the tattoo, the chocobo, the lower monthly cost of the subscription, and our names on the ending credits of 2.0. We were happy about just that, but there was something more added to the game that not many players get to see normally. Yoshi P and the development team had 2 stories running in tandem to one another. A legacy player gets a different story than a regular player does. While the core of the story is the same, there are many changes to the story to call back to the legacy players. Things like people not remembering us, but some do. Extra scenes and many other cutscenes that call back to the story of 1.0, ending of the server, and the opening movie. An event as we the players were involved in. The main trailer you see in A Realm Reborn with a battle of Cartano. As a 1.0 player, I experienced that in the game. Wave after wave of Garlean soldiers and Magitechs attacking us in the game overworld. As the final moments of 1.0 and the server shut down, that iconic opening movie was our treat for it all. So I'm making this video to showcase the difference between what a legacy player gets in A Realm Reborn over a regular base player, so that people can see what was added to the game in a way to connect our story with the plot. While many players have a less than favorable reaction to the base story of Final Fantasy XIV, this also includes legacy players who did not enjoy the base story. These changes and scenes are one of the reasons why I personally enjoyed the story. The following scenes have been captured via my alt and my main character, so you can see the differences between the stories. This includes mostly voice acted scenes aside from the intro, which none of them have voice acting for. The first clip you see here is how a base player starts the game. This is from the Ul'dah starting point. You as the adventurer end up in a carriage with the twins, which then transitions to the Ul'dah panorama, where Louisoix actually narrates the cityscapes and its people.
Deep in the sun-baked south, surrounded by the shifting sands of an endless desert, she rises. A solitary rose amidst the dust and rock, a symbol of defiance. Her name, Ul'dah. Even with the coming of the 7th Umbral Era, hope springs eternal for the mongers and merchants who vie for lost fortunes in this bustling oasis. As the twin faces of Nold Thal maintain their vigil over all that has been and shall be, the present proffers a brave soul. One whose arrival could mark the beginning of a new era of prosperity for the realm. May the traders nurture our fortunes as they kindle the flames which burn within us all. For by fire are we reborn.
Next, you will see the intro for the legacy players. Recalling back to the cinematic movie for 2.0, how the Warrior of Light appears in the middle of the field 5 years after the events. That is exactly how we appear in the game in a column of light. Legacy players then get a small synopsis of the Battle of Cartano, and how Louisoix used the last of his powers to send us to a rift beyond the reach of time, which then cuts into the Ul'dah panorama, but the camera angles and scenes and even the music are completely different.
At the Battle of Cartano, as fire rained down from the heavens, Archon Louisoix invoked the power of the Keeper and sent his fellow heroes into an ethereal rift beyond the reach of the devastation. 5 years since that fateful day, since the 7th Umbral Era changed the world forever. The time has come for the heroes to return. Deep in the sun-baked south, surrounded by the shifting sands of an endless desert, she rises. A solitary rose amidst the dust and rock, a symbol of defiance, her name, Ulda. Even with the coming of the seventh umbral era, hope springs eternal for the mongers and merchants who vie for lost fortunes in this bustling oasis. As the twin faces of Nold Thal maintain their vigil over all that has been and shall be, the present proffers a brave soul. One whose arrival could mark the beginning of a new era of prosperity for the realm. May the traders nurture our fortunes as they kindle the flames which burn within us all. For by fire are we reborn.
And the following scene is when you first meet Minfilia on the Waking Sands. After she introduces herself as you see in the normal playthrough, she just goes behind her desk and continues as normal.
So you are the adventurer of whom I've heard so much. Well met, friend. My name is Minfilia, and I lead the Scions of the Seventh Dawn. I have awaited your coming.
When you look at the legacy scene after she introduces herself, Minfilia will privately speak with you and explain that she does remember who you are, but nobody else seems to know that.
So you are the adventurer of whom I've heard so much. Well met, friend. My name is Minfilia, and I lead the Scions of the Seventh Dawn. I have awaited your coming. After 5 long years, you've come back to us, just as Louisoix said you would. Words cannot describe the joy I feel at this moment. Welcome home. I remember you still, and everything you fought for. Know that you're not entirely forgotten. If Louisoix is watching us, as I choose to believe, he may now rest in peace, his mission finally fulfilled.
The very next scene after you agree to help the Scions, she starts to just introduce you to the others in the Order. In the Legacy version, though, she apologizes and feels bad that no one else knows who you are, and explains how this could have happened. She also mentions that there has to be a way for the shroud to be lifted so that everybody remembers who you are.
I take it you will help us. Wonderful! I knew you wouldn't let us down. Forgive me for treating you as a stranger. I know you deserve better than this, considering all you've done for the realm. It remains unclear why no one remembers you. We can only assume that it is a consequence of the power that Louisoix invoked to save your life. But irrespective of the cause, know that whatever shroud has fallen upon people's memories, there will surely be a way to lift it. Thank you for understanding.
The next scene is a small one, but it leads to a bigger one. When you find Sid in Drybones, Alphino calls him by his name and he starts to remember. He looks at you and mutters that you are familiar. That is the only difference between the regular scene and the Legacy scene.
I fondly hoped that I might be the first to speak with you. Would that I had been so fortunate. At ease, adventurer. I come not on behalf of the Empire. On the contrary, I mean to revive the Scions of the Seventh Dawn. And to that end, I have come in search of a legend, the greatest engineer of our time, Master Cid Garland, I have come for you.
I fear you are mistaken, child. He is but a poor soul who bore witness to the horrors at Cartano. I beg of you, leave us in peace.
Wait,
Hear me, Cid. Eorzea needs you.
You, so familiar. It's all a blur.
This then leads us to a scene that is not available to anyone but the Legacy players. As you're getting closer to the Vortex to fight Garuda, Cid recalls everything with you. He recalls the fight in Riven Road against Van Darnus and how they thought it was the end. He then quips at you about keeping it all a secret. This is such a fantastic scene to see as someone else remembers my deeds in the past.
It took a while for the memory to return, but I remember you. The Floating Isle, Van Darnus. We ended it that day, or so we thought. Listen, let's keep this between the two of us for the time being. If word got out that one of the Warriors of Light had returned, the eyes of the world would soon be upon us, our enemies included. And that's the kind of attention we could well do without. What? Isn't it enough that I know the truth? Don't worry, a man of your talents won't go unnoticed for long. Someday they will remember you, and you'll never know another moment's peace. There, up ahead. Ready, old friend? Ha! Some things never change. We're going in!
And finally is the ending cutscene. Right after you defeat La Habrea and are escaping, the scene is normal all the way through till the very point when Minfilia starts praying to Hydaelyn to light the path for you to return safely. Usually it goes right into the light flashing past Minfilia, and she quotes, which then shows you narrowly escaping the fire. In the Legacy version, before Minfilia actually tells everybody that she sees where you're at, an entire cutscene is added where everybody slowly starts to remember who you are, thanks to Hydaelyn lifting the shroud.
Please, Mother Hydaelyn. Please light his way through the darkness.
Look into the light, my child. If thou would see thy companions return safe to thee, reach out to them now.
It's him! I feel his presence! Can it be? Is it really him?
I knew it! I knew it all along!
Who speaks? The crystal. She calls to us.
I hear her. The voice of Hydaelyn herself.
She speaks of... Strike me down! No wonder he seemed familiar. He's one of the Warriors of Light! What are you smirking at, Cid? You knew, didn't you?
Oh, you mean our adventurer friend? Did I forget to mention he was one of the Warriors of Light? Saved Eorzea. You know, twice.
The shroud is lifted. They remember you. There!
There are also a lot of flavor text and smaller text changes throughout the story that are not voice-acted scenes that are unique to the Legacy players that I did not cover in this video. But this is just a small bit of the two stories that ran side by side for A Realm Reborn. I want to take the time to thank Yoshi P and all the developers for Final Fantasy XIV for including these small yet impactful story differences for the Legacy players. That alone was the icing to the cake to the Legacy status and bonuses. They surprised those who stood by their side during the bad times of the game, with unique elements of the story showing just how much they appreciated those players. I hope that this video has given you a brief view of the differences between Legacy players and regular players. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you hated it, give it a thumbs down. Let me know in the comments if you're a regular player or a Legacy player, and which one was your favorite moment in A Realm Reborn. Thank you again for taking the time to watch this video, and have a wonderful day.